Videofashion Monthly brings a brand new kind of fashion magazine to life. All the glamour and excitement of fashion comes to life, and you're right there. In Paris, in Milan, in London, in New York, the whole world of fashion is your world as you meet the people who make fashion happen. Come to the fashion shows, visit backstage, and shop for what's newest. This month, Videofashion Monthly turns the spotlight onto the star designers of glamour fashion around the world. You're invited to the premiere showings by the star designers. Listen to exclusive interviews with the fashion stars. Meet the rising stars who are making fashion news. Meet star designer Bob Mackie in person. See how Pat Cleveland became a superstar video cover girl. See the video fashion video on how evening wear began. Evening wear looks brand new for fall. Find out why. Meet Oscar de la Renta, who designs spectacular evening looks. Learn how you can look more beautiful in the evening. And find out what you must buy for starry evenings. Take your front row seat at the shows. Lights, camera, fashion. In Milan, the Missonis knit glamorous glitter coats. Bill Blass beads new high-waisted gowns in New York. And Halston adds swirling lines to shimmery satin. In Paris, Jacqueline de Rive understates glamour. Bob Mackie does just the opposite. He stops the show Hollywood style. And in Milan, Laura Biagiotti designs in glorious Technicolor. Kimijima gives us a glamorous finale with star quality. You know their famous names. Now listen in on what the star designers are saying.
I do feel strongly that a woman, unless she really can wear her clothes and forget she's wearing them, is not well dressed. I think she should in essence be comfortable in her clothes.
Il faut avoir la fantaisie qui est nécessaire pour qui est la vitamine de la mode, et ensuite il faut avoir le style qui lui reste inchangé.
I am making a special culture for next generation. I don't want to continue only in fashion. You know, how can I do to make happiness through my fashion, through my stage?
Fashion is beauty, and it's living, and it's enjoying, and it is appreciating, and it is participating, and I mean, it gets to be how we all live.
Penso che grandi cambiamenti, grandi capovolgimenti non ci saranno. Penso che forse si va verso una semplificazione della moda.
La mode, c'est une continuité d'une collection. On avance d'une collection sur l'autre. Moi, je ne suis pas du tout le genre de couturier qui, tout à coup, comme je vous disais tout à l'heure, voit l'an 2000 ou parce qu'on a envie de changer.
It's really, in the end result, the client that makes fashion. We only suggest fashion as designers.
The fashion news is being made by rising star designers in New York and Milan. Meet them now.
Our clothes are all quite unconstructed and very easy to wear, very comfortable. So it's just an extension of ourselves, and it's really nice to be able to do something like that. We feel this is a good way to present our clothes. We want it set up like a photographic session and just be very casual.
Instead of a traditional fashion show, the Nobles surprised everyone this season with a new concept, a photo session as a show. That's typical of their fresh, young approach. Danny Noble and his wife Annette are Londoners who have become rising stars in New York. They left England, where they began their careers, and moved first to Philadelphia, where they quickly became successful. Soon they moved on to New York, where their English approach now gives American fashion an exciting new attitude. Their designs are as easy as sportswear, but they add a special little something, like like exciting colors, new shapes, and novel details. Danny Noble and Annette, stars on the Ascendant in New York. In Milan, meet another rising star who gives women many options in dressing.
My collection more, I think, than in others. They can find all these tastes together. That's why maybe they amuse themselves. They really have fun with it. I think that they find many different characters of fashion in my collections. I'd say I mix the past and the future, old, new, you know. And to mix them together, that's for me, it's the key of the moment.
Franco Moschino's fashion shows make news because of that unique approach. He mixes the old with the new, just as a real woman wears something new with something old. Franco also likes a little joke, and he adds a few laughs to fashion just for the fun of it. Franco Moschino, Milan's unique rising star. Bob Mackie's name is as famous as the showbiz stars he dresses.
I don't think of myself as a Hollywood designer. I think of myself as an American designer, and not a New York, not a Hollywood, not anything. I mean, I try to think about the whole country. Naturally, if you design for things in Hollywood, they tend to be a little glamorous. I started out with Mitzi Gaynor in 1965, and went on to Carol Burnett and Juliet Prowse and Cher and Diana Ross, Carol Channing. The list is long, but it's been very rewarding for me. I think if you design for the whole country, you have to keep them all in mind and think about what they wear in every city. That's why traveling has been so important this year for me, to meet women and find out their needs. I like to think of what's happening right now, what people are wanting. That's very important. Otherwise, you're making a lot of clothes that nobody wants. But I think women like to get dressed up and look gorgeous, look sexy maybe, glamorous, turn a few heads. That's important. I've been to many big cities and worked in the stores with the customers, and I've learned a lot in the last couple of years. Yeah, it's very enlightening. It's something that I kind of steered away from for years because I was in Hollywood doing what I did there. And when I finally decided this was it, I got very excited, and that's all I'm doing really at the moment. I think I'm being more influenced by people that I meet now, and I realize what their lifestyles are and what they need in fashion, and that's what I'm trying to give them, and still give them a little fantasy on the side, you know, that never hurts. I used a lot of sort of jewel tones and dark golds and bronzes and black, a lot of black. In the evening clothes, I used quite a bit of white and gold combinations. Black and gold, a lot of lurex. It seemed very African, so I did it. In the evening, a lot of things are hand-beaded, so they're hand-beaded on chiffon, and the fabric is very limited there, but of course what goes on it's like painting. It's all hand-beaded in this country, by the way, so I have my finger right on it every minute. The beading on them is wonderful. I'm saying that because I don't do the beading. I have wonderful people that do it, and they're geniuses, they really are. Well, I suppose if anybody thinks of a classic Bob Mackie, they think of a glamorous evening gown with swathed in furs and glitter and diamonds and all that sort of thing. You know, that's old-time classic Bob Mackie. I'm hoping to build some new classics. I'm working on it.
Designer to the stars, Bob Mackie, superstar designer. Our video cover girl is Pat Cleveland, the modeling star who has been a showstopper for more than a decade. A little girl who grew up to be a cover girl, much to her own surprise.
I liked to see fashion models, and I thought they were glamorous, but I didn't think I could be a model because, you know, I thought you really had to be glamorous and beautiful, you know, when you're growing up and you're very skinny and you don't know how you look. Then I was discovered photography-wise by a Vogue editor. I was coming home from school one day and I was wearing one of my creations, and my mom and my aunt used to help me sew every night, and so I always dressed to go to school and had very long hair and a little tiny mini skirt, and she was walking behind me. So suddenly she said, "Stop, I want to talk to you." And I said, "Oh, well, I'll stop and talk to this nice lady." And she gave me a card. I went out with all my designs. I started as a designer. And after they saw me, they said, "Well, why don't you come and work for a few designers?" And I said, "Well, this is fun. Why stay home and sew every night?" I was so young anyway, and I wanted to go out and have fun. And I said, "Well, modeling is a good thing, you know. It's safe. You know, you make a nice living. It's glamorous." When I started, you didn't have these huge platforms for a show. You used to have just a small room with a number. But now, I mean, girls really have to be athletes. And at the time, well, I was really informed for that. I used to dance as a child, and I think the dancing helps in the modeling. I think it's very important that the designers show the girls how to move. You know, they all have a different thing, you know, that so your personality becomes their personality in the clothes. I think the designer's feeling makes the model. Showgirl dresses, I remember the most, you know, the big ones, the fantasy outfits. I come from a family of showgirls, and so I kind of grew up with this show business feeling anyway. And it wasn't so alarming. I mean, I really liked that kind of thing, art and dancing and, you know, all of this show business thing.
Pat is much more than a model. When she hits the runway, she becomes an actress. Or a comedian. A sparkling personality with that indefinable something that Hollywood has always called star quality. Just take a look at her, stopping shows around the world during her decade-long career in the spotlight. Superstar video cover girl. What to wear in the evening? Something very special, of course. Something glamorous. Since the beginning of fashion, when the sun goes down and the stars come out, women, even back as far as Eve, seem to feel an almost primitive urge to dress up in something special. And shopping wasn't easy then. Evening wear once was something that belonged only to the rich and famous, people like Queen Elizabeth I, whose gorgeous gowns would take years to make and decorate. Elaborate evening wear could cost a king's ransom, and sometimes more. Marie Antoinette loved dressing up in the evening, and simplicity wasn't Marie's idea of fashion. She got so carried away she completely lost her head. Somehow, women seemed to develop the strange ability to change their shapes. There were hoop skirts and bustles. Then came the hourglass shape. Then women raised their waists. After the war, waistlines dropped down to the hips, and flappers wore jazzy short skirts in the evenings. During the Depression, evening wear became a Hollywood fantasy that existed only in the imaginations of moviegoers. In the 1950s, evening wear became almost as extravagant as it had been in the days of Marie Antoinette. In the 60s, elegance gave way to the miniskirt revolution. And in the 70s, everybody did their own thing, and evening wear almost ceased to exist for women who belonged to the blue jeans generation. But disco fever brought back that urge to dress up. And Paris rediscovered evening wear and adapted it to the modern fashion. Today's evening looks offer the woman of the 80s a variety of options that recall fantasy, history, femininity galore. And as always, there is something very sexy. Something almost primitive that brings out the female urge to dress up in the evening. Evening wear now. Today in the 80s, evening wear continues to give women glamour fashion for those starry nights. And this season, evening wear has two different looks, dressed down as well as dressed up. First, the dressed down evening look. Casual, low profile, dressing that's simply sportswear gone glamorous. An easy pantsuit in shimmering white satin. Even a ski sweater can go out on starry nights if it sparkles with jewel trim. Or why not a simple bathrobe now turned into satin evening coat? A top that's as simple as a t-shirt and a pair of pants in shiny satin. Evening wear that dresses down for casual glamour. Now the dressed up looks for evening. The star-studded dazzle styles that take up where Hollywood stops. Give them the old razzle-dazzle in sequins and feathers. For all-out glamour, nothing matches the eternal elegance of black. Dressing up in the evening can be an all-out fashion fantasy. Dressed up looks are meant to be noticed. Strong shapes and highly visible trims. Dressed up in a shower of beads, that's the sure way to become the star of the evening. Starry, starry fashion. The newest shape for evening wear is a slender, graceful slimline that flows easily in a shape as classic as a Grecian column. Simple slimline columns with jeweled touches as accent. A slimline gown that's a shower of silver icicles on black sequins. A slimline wand of black velvet is buttoned down the back with sparkling jewels. Stroke of beautiful color for the newest evening shape, the slimline. Evening looks are the stuff of which dreams are made, but evening wear is made of fabrics, beautiful, deluxe, very special fabrics. A sparkling floral is a one-of-a-kind deluxe nighttime fabric from American designer John Anthony. While in Paris, lavish lace and plush, lush velvet return together for glamorous evenings. Sheer floaty chiffon emerges as the #1 choice in fabric from Italian Gianni Versace. And the starriest evening fabric of all, shimmering, sparkling sequins from Paris. The sparkling evening looks for starry nights. Oscar de la Renta is the New York designer who creates some of the world's most beautiful evening wear for the very special woman.
In the whole, I like a very feminine woman, a very romantic woman, a woman who understands her role in society, a woman of commitment. I make clothes that are expensive, so it's a woman of certain means. But it's as well for the lady of leisure as for the executive woman.
Not only does Oscar design women's wear, but he also adds romance to lingerie as well. He cuts swimwear to flatter every woman. And recently launched the newest de la Renta perfume called Ruffles. Oscar's love for ruffles has made his evening look sensational. Often they have an exotic Latin look. His use of ornamental trims is a signature of his designs. Oscar always makes a strong statement with intense color and bold shapes. And season after season, he gives women the most deluxe fabrics and one simple message.
The message obviously is the same. I love doing very feminine, very romantic clothes, and with a little bit of sex appeal. I'm using really very, very strong colors, the strongest colors I have used in a winter collection for a long time, and I think that now it's wonderful to see, even for day, a strong, shocking pink coat. I have always loved color because, that's my background. I was born in the islands. Originally I was a painter, so I like to work with color. what makes it interesting is really the combination of fabrics. I think that it's the combination of textures, mixing, cashmere with velvet, all the wools with silk. I think that it's always, I don't think that it's one fabric by itself that tells you the story, but I think it's the whole mixture of the fabrics and the textures that tell you what I was trying to say. I mean, my best known probably for my evening clothes, but I love to work in day, and I'm very happy with my daytime group, my day clothes this time, because I work hard at them, and I think that they are very well made.
My evening is probably as sumptuous as it has always been, perhaps more simple in shape, much easier, more, the fabrications are as rich, but there's so much more simplicity, easiness in them. We should not forget ever that fashion, before anything, should always be amusing, that when a woman goes to a store to buy a dress, is a wonderful privilege that you are able to go to a store and buy, and that you should have a very good time doing it, and it should always be a little bit, it should be fun.
When the stars come out, they often shine upon fashions created by Oscar de la Renta, the creator of evening looks for those special starry nights. Beautiful evening looks are a head-to-toe involvement. When you wear evening looks as special as Oscar de la Renta's, you should be as beautiful as possible. Models may look like dream girls on the runway, but even they work to perfect their beauty, so that they complement those special creations they show off so well. Backstage, we asked makeup artist Alberto Fava about creating the beautiful evening face.
What colors are you going to be using for the eyes and the lipstick?
The eyes, black, close to the lashes, and gray, bronze on the outer edge of the upper lid, a very toned down gold, not very shimmery, on the middle of the eye, very pale pink on the cheeks, and a bright red for the lips, like a pure red, not orange, not blue. Today there are many different ways of doing makeup and fashion anyway. So I think the only thing that I can advise is to experiment a little more, to get a more psychological approach to makeup, to look a little more into themselves, and to bring out what they feel is better for themselves. But there are no more rules in makeup.
Would you like to be a fashion star? Here's what you must buy. Buy an evening sweater. It's the easiest way to add a touch of starry glamour to your wardrobe. In Italy, Callaghan's new tunic shape in a vivid shade of violet adds a bit of sparkle. Go for sophistication with Gianni Versace's elegant black sweater shimmering with beads. Krizia is famous for unusual sweaters, like these tinseled sparklers. In Paris, Valentino turns the evening sweater into a glittering black coat. And one of the season's prettiest sweaters, a delicate lacy knit in winter white from Bernard Paris. And in New York, Bill Blass simply streamlined the evening sweater. Fashion stardom in the spotlight.